just definitely like things I was thinking about and things that were on my mind, and it all just sort of came out rather spontaneously, and it's only the second time that's ever happened to me where I've just written something and made it and without really thinking it through too much, and the results usually are pretty good, so I should probably keep trying to do that.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of kind of perfecting the look of the ghost so you hit that sweet spot that you were talking about?
Yeah, it was definitely, it was a constant work in progress because, we definitely naively thought that all we would have to do is put a sheet over somebody's head and we'd have the ghost, and that instantly proved to not be the case. And so then my costume designer, Nell Broder, started working on building a costume that would create the image of a ghost in a bed sheet, even though the fabric was 100% made from scratch, and it was, a king-size bed sheet won't fit you. It won't cover you head to toe, so the dimensions of it were completely made to fit somebody in a very specific way so that it would drape with a certain weight, and so when your arms moved, it would move with the arms. It was all very custom made, and yet designed to feel incredibly simple. It was supposed to look just like a bed sheet, but underneath the sheet there's also, all sorts of layers to give it the form that it has, because too much human form under there, or too much recognizable human form, just ruined the illusion. It stopped feeling like a ghost. Because even though it's handmade and very practical and was always there on set, we wanted it to still feel like a ghost rather than a person in a ghost costume. He just is stuck just having to deal with these things that are just always falling away. He's never able to actually, partake in everything that's around him or be a part of it. And so he's gradually just, as he's sitting there over several hundred years, from the cut of the gradual decay to when the house is back again, he's just being worn down to the point where he finally is like accepting his place in the universe and realizing that he doesn't need to move on. He needs to like get over himself, basically. So that's where I was coming from with it.
We're going to get a zillion questions about the pie scene.
What did you think that, Andrew, when we shot it? Like, I feel like we kind of thought about maybe that this.
I think we were aware it's a little bit of a stunt.
Yeah, but
but we were also. I have to admit that when I was filming it, I was so magnetized to what she was doing. I was completely forgetting the whatever the joke was. If there were some like punk rock, thing you were doing.
It wasn't like punk rock. It was definitely
it's
definitely like this is the time of the movie where we're going to stop and everything.
Yeah, it was a chocolate vegan cake made by
pie,
of course. That's the infamous pie scene by one of the producers of the film, who has a vegan restaurant in Dallas.
And as of today, A24 put up a little video on their Instagram. So if you go to A24's Instagram, they have a video showing how to make.
They have a recipe.
A step-by-step recipe.
At the party where the man is trying to say what he thinks the meaning of life is, was that done word for word?
Yeah, that was, he is an actor who takes what's written seriously, so that is word for word what was written on the page. And it's, I feel like 2/3 of a pretty good argument, but he doesn't quite get there. But it was very reflective of my own, just kind of my own attempt to synthesize a reason to get out of bed in the morning when I was depressed one day.
What really struck me was the aspect ratio that you and Andrew chose for this film. It's kind of the boxy Academy ratio, and you also chose to present it in with those rounded corners.
The rounded edges was something that came about in post-production, and we talked about it a lot, about whether it was a good or a bad thing to have that, because it does, you notice it, you notice those things. It makes you notice the edges of the frame more. And personally, I really like that. I like having that sort of proscenium, but it does, add like this sense of nostalgia. And ultimately, I felt that this is a movie that's ultimately about nostalgia.
I've shot a lot of things in very widescreen, so it was a challenge of like completely rethinking how I compose shots. And I really struggled at first figuring out how to get more than one person in a frame. Like wide shots were really tough for me at first. But then I really fell in love with it because it's so well suited for just one person in the frame. Like that shot of Rooney with the headphones, she just fits so perfectly. And then it became amazing for me once I really embraced that the ghost could always just hold the frame himself, and he felt really just right, and it felt at harmony with the size. And But, that was something you approached me with in the very beginning.
And I think we both thought it would be easier than it was, because I think with our first couple days of shooting was sort of a hodgepodge of shots that weren't quite there yet. And we reshot a lot of them because we were still learning how to not think in rectangles.